This past fall, I agreed to go to Belize over spring break. So I packed up my bags and I set off for Belize with a group of girls where I only knew one person in the whole entire group. After landing in Belize City, we took a water taxi over to Kikaker. This island was absolutely beautiful. I could call it just paradise. None of us really knew each other before this trip, but we quickly became really close friends. And poor Miss Sue, she didn't know what she had gotten herself into. On the island, we did things like laying out in the sun, we laid in hammocks, we relaxed, we went and enjoyed different places to eat, and we also got to go snorkeling. Some of us had never snorkeled before, and some of us had. We got to swim with stingrays and little sharks. It was awesome to see the really clear water. It's hard to leave the island at first, but we knew some new adventures would await us. We got into a car and we realized the driving here was much different than what we were used to. The houses along the way to the school, they were different than what we were used to also. Most of them were like little shacks or made out of wood or cement blocks. The next day we went ziplining and cave tubing. This really kind of got me out of my comfort zone. Well, as you can see right here. We got across this really scary bridge, and we even ate termites. Guess what? They taste like carrots. Then we went cave tubing, and we got to see the really cool features of their caves. Another adventure we went on was to the Mayan ruins, Shunan Tunich. While here we got to see how the Mayans used to live, and how they used to cover up their pyramids to hide them from Christopher Columbus and his people. This will be a really cool opportunity and a really good learning experience to share with my students someday. That evening, Miss Amalia taught us how to make homemade tortillas. It's a lot harder than it looks. Finally, we got to get inside of Victorious Nazarene School. I was so excited to meet my Infant 1 students and get to know them. They're oh so sweet. We had wonderful snacks, and then it finally got time for us to get to work. What we did while we were here was we started guided reading, and we brought books for them to use for guided reading. We brought so many books. That weekend, we went to the local market. It was really fun to see the different products that people brought, and I was always wearing a sweater too. That whole weekend, we just had fun, and we acted sometimes childish. Okay, really childish. But it was fun just to build relationships with each other and get to know each other. We got to watch a local soccer game too, which was really intense. We played a lot of games of spoons, and do not let anyone tell you that I cheated. I won fair and square. That weekend, we went tubing down the river and ate a delicious meal at Cesar's. It was nice to unwind before we started our busy next week. We were lucky enough to celebrate Miss Sue's birthday with her. We got to spoil her a little bit too. Like with breakfast in bed, made bunkhouse style. We went to Cayo Twist a lot. I loved this place. It was so good. I got to spend a whole weekend in my classroom and get to know my students. It was fun to compare how the students there were different than the students in the US. All the adventures and that we went on were a lot of fun, but the most I learned from this trip was from my students. They taught me how to have a positive attitude, to keep smiling, to think outside the box, and they truly made me a better person and, most importantly, a better teacher. I was very blessed to have this experience. I met my goals by learning from the gracious people and from their culture. I highly recommend anyone going on this trip if they have the chance. It was very eye-opening.